No, it's got to have a net over the top. It's like a cage. So the golf balls on, if you block it on number 8, it doesn't fade black.
Got it. I thought it was, somebody told me it was the soy was. Right.
That could be true as well.
We got a full house now, don't we?
Even with the delay, it started like in February.
That's right.
If you're a boy, stand up, so if the girls are sleepy.
What did she say?
For a gentleman. Ms. Taylor, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Let's call, I'm sorry, let me call a meeting to order. Please rise, let's pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with freedom and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Taylor, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons.
Here.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Here.
Commissioner Orthwein.
Here.
Commissioner Smith
Here.
and Mayor Morgan.
Here.
And let the record show that Town Manager Dunham and I guess
Mr. Nazaro will be here. He is stuck in a fatality accident, traffic jam.
there, he will be
He
present.
will be here. We're going to pick him up.
And then we have Police Chief Allen and myself.
Very good. I want to welcome our newest commissioner, Tom Smith. Tom, good to have you. All right, we've been presented with the minutes from our last meeting of April 8th, 2022. Are there any comments, changes, additions?
Nope.
If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes from April 8th, 2022.
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. As far as changes to the agenda, we will be adding another motion to item 8C. 1E will regard the development agreement that we've been provided a copy of. Item 8C2, application by Blue Water Cove has been withdrawn at the applicant's request. And I believe that's about it. Anything else?
The other item on the manager's comments about the window.
Well, we will, yes, the manager will be talking about the town hall windows and their replacement under item 9A. That'll be 5. Anything else? If not, let's move on to public comment. Does anyone wish to speak? How about Emma and Valentina? Do they have anything to say? Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, my name is Valentina Altiero, and this is my friend Emma Imperator. We are here because 2 years ago, I saw Muscovy Duck get hit by a car on Gulfstream Road. I thought of the idea to install a duck crossing sign in Gulfstream and asked Emma to help me. In March of 2020, we were here to present my idea to Mayor Morgan. And this is the poster we did for that presentation. Mayor Morgan liked the idea and asked Emma and me to try to get approvals from the people in Gulfstream. Emma and I wrote 5 letters to request.
Good morning. As Valentina stated, we wrote to 3 businesses, the Little Club, Gulfstream Town Hall, and Gulfstream School. We also wrote to 2 residences, 3737 and 377 Gulfstream Road. As an example, Valentina will read the letter we wrote to the two residences. Dear homeowners of 3737 Gulfstream Road, our names are Valentina Altiero and Emma Imperator, and we are students at Gulfstream School. In February of 2020, when we were here in second grade, Valentina saw a local Muscovy duck get hit by a car close to your home on Gulfstream Road. Valentina was very upset when she told me about it. She asked me if I wanted to help her try to make sure it would never happen again. In March of 2020, we went to a town hall meeting and presented the idea of installing a duck crossing sign on both Sea Road for south-driving cars and on Gulfstream Road for north-driving cars. Mayor Scott Morgan liked our idea and asked us if we could try to get signatures from the property owners that would be affected by the installation of these signs. For the northbound cars, we were thinking of putting one of the signs between your homes of the 3777 Gulfstream Road, your next door neighbor. We thought it may be a good idea to put it on the property line between your two homes right near the street. If we could put the northbound sign at the location. We think it may be able to warn the parents pulling out of Gulfstream to slow down and watch out for the ducks crossing up the street by Little Club Golf Cart Path and the Gulfstream Police Station. We hope that you can consider the idea of having a duck crossing sign on the front corner of your property. Valentina and I have our back of the agenda of Friday, May 13th town hall meeting if you think you would like to give permission for the duck crossing sign on your property. We would need your approval in writing by Thursday, May 12th, so we could present it at the meeting. Thank you very much for reading our letter and possibly considering the installation of a duck crossing sign on your property. Thank you again, Valentina Altiero and Emma Imperator.
A few days later, we received this response from 3737 Gulfstream Road representing both residences. Dear Emma and Valentina, I so appreciate your efforts in protecting our darling ducks by installing duck crossing signs. We love these cute ducks and admire them at our Little Club golf course ponds. However, we do not want these signs at a property or street for aesthetic and safety reasons. It isn't easy for us to back out of our driveway. I am afraid the sign could hinder our visibility. The signs may be better placed by the GSS exit gate, and the school could announce to the parents to watch their speed, as well as the police monitoring it further. Thank you. Sincerely, Mrs. Ford. We thought 3737 Gulfstream Road gave a good suggestion, so we wrote to Dr. Smith, our headmaster at Gulfstream School. This was Dr. Smith's response. Dear Emma and Valentina, congratulations on a wonderful idea for duck crossing signs in the town of Gulfstream. I applaud your desire to protect our area's wildlife. I know that you discussed your idea with Dr. Smith before he went out of town, and he instructed me to let you know that you have his permission to post your sign by Gulfstream School's main exit gate. He looks forward to returning to school and working with you to make sure the sign is placed so that it has maximum visibility. In the meantime, he wishes you good luck in your meeting at Town Hall. Sincerely, Kathy Abrams, Assistant Head of School. We were very happy with Dr. Smith's immediate approval. Unfortunately, after many requests, we did not hear back from the Little Club. And this morning, we look forward to the response from Gulfstream Town Hall. Thank you. In conclusion, we hope that you will consider our request for duck crossing signs at the town of Gulfstream. We appreciate your support and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And I think I speak on behalf of the entire commission in applauding your dedication and the perseverance that you have shown in bringing this issue back to the commission and having met and spoken with involved property owners. More importantly, you're involved in what is our true democratic process, bringing an issue of your concern to a body that can respond to it and hopefully help the ducks. I think it's an admirable effort by these two young girls. And I think that we should, as a commission, authorize the town manager and staff to explore a sign of appropriate size and placement in front of Town Hall for the east driving traffic on C Road. I also think that this is something that Emma and Valentina should also be involved in terms of meeting with staff to decide what that sign should be. Placement of it would be determined by staff. We have, have rules in town as to where things need to be placed, but I think you should participate with staff in selecting an appropriate sign. With that, I'll turn it over to anyone else who wishes to comment.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. I think so.
So yes.
I think it's great. You'll be working with the town manager too.
Very good.
And I look forward as a staff person to work with our young ladies here to find the best looking sign available. We already have some alternatives that we can share with you. So someone could just call and we can make an appointment for you guys to come in and talk to us. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
So I think we have a consensus.
Yes.
Everyone is in agreement.
Yes.
We'll direct staff to meet with Emma and Valentina to advance this request and bring it to fruition. Thank you very much, girls.
Thank you.
Well, okay, we move on. We have a number of applications. Anyone who wishes to speak today, if you'd please rise and be sworn on any of the applications. Renee, do you want to swear anyone in who's going to be speaking?
You want me to?
Yeah, or Rita, whoever's going to standing.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God?
Very good. Any ex parte communications on the applications today?
None here.
No.
Okay. Well, we just wait a minute until the
It's so nice to see so many former Gulfstream areas.
thank you for helping organize this. It's great. Okay. This is an application by the Gulfstream Golf Club. Ryan?
Well, I'm probably the most nervous I've ever been to be at this podium. I'm not nearly as adorable as they are.
Tough act to follow, for sure.
Yeah. Tough act to follow. I was going to let Carrie go first, maybe. But, so I'm back in front of you today. We've been, for some time now, working towards an alternative water supply at the Gulfstream Golf Club. I'm invigorated to continue on that mission. I think as I presented to you in the past, I personally, along with the club, see the importance in venturing towards this alternative water supply, getting the club away from potable water source for its irrigation use and reducing demand there. In doing so, as you all are very aware, installing a reverse osmosis plant that would supply in large part the water for the irrigation of the golf course. The reason I'm here in front of you again today is that we had a site plan change based on some unfortunate soil conditions in the site where we were hoping to build. So we've presented to the ARPB our intended change. The change that you see on the screen, the site plan that you have there, shows the storage tank itself moving because of the soil condition, and then an existing maintenance building to be demolished. So this is the existing maintenance facility that that's existed for the longest amount of time. We also have a facility in this location which is going to be demolished and repurposed for the new reverse osmosis plant. The main reason for demolishing the building and building a new building is so we can build it up to current codes and standards. And as part of the development application and the development agreement that we've signed with you all, it will allow us to build a building that will be provide the sound attenuation and the new technology that would prevent us from being a disturbance or making noise or any of those things for the neighborhood. If you could advance. I have a few elevations. The first is a picture, I think will be the next slide. This picture was taken from the intersection of Polo Drive and Gulfview Drive. It's essentially to show the what is there today regarding vegetation. One of the things that we've taken on of late is maturing this hedge to try to hide more of the maintenance facilities. So we've grown that in height. We've now, with the elimination of the power lines, been able to prune these palm trees, which haven't been trimmed in quite some time. And this sea hibiscus or mayho tree, the power lines were kind of entangled with that before they came down. So in the coming days, we'll be planting new clusia material in front of this section here. It's kind of thin and unsightly from the shade that was being created by this overgrown mayho tree that was there. So we're confident with the new plantings, and now that this tree has been trimmed, that we'll get the proper sunlight there to have mature material. As you can see, this palm tree that's here in the back is already kind of hiding the corner of the building where there could potentially be some exposure of the new tank. So we're confident that the vegetation is there currently with some more maturation, and through the development process, we have the opportunity to plant some additional sable palms or other materials for a vegetative buffer to make sure that none of this is visible from the street to our residents. Maybe we could advance. This is an elevation that will show, intended to show the what the tank will look like behind the building, how much of it would be visible in the location where it's at. We could keep moving. This is again the view that the picture was shown. This view is kind of from the stop sign area, looking to the southwest, if you will, and again showing the height of the tank and the existing buildings that are there. Continue. And again, this picture shows the tank if it were set at the height to grade. The tank is actually proposed, as you can see in the other pictures, to be set below grade by 3 feet, which is something that we can do in the construction process, and it's detailed on the tank plans. So that will help bring the height of the overall height of the tank down and make it be a little bit more in keeping with what's currently there. These are elevations of the new building to be built for the RO plant itself. And I believe the last slide is a floor plan for the inside of that building, which shows the components that will be installed once that's complete. Ultimately, the building and the moving of the tank in the building itself, as you can imagine, is just as sensitive to the golfers of the Gulfstream Golf Club and the members as far as the view shed from the golf course side as it is from the town. So the efforts that will be made to hide the tank from not only the residents and the golf course alike are all driving what I think is a great effort to make sure we're doing the best that we can with the area that we're given to be able to have a product that will have no impact visually on the residents or the members of the club. So.
Thank you. Any questions?
Rita, before you proceed, I need to use myself as a conflict of interest.
Right, we'll recuse Mr. Lyons. Any questions or comments on the proposal?
I just had one. Brian, on the north facing side of the tank on the sables, so it's down. So are you all gonna have just like kind of and the roof balls aren't that big, as you know, you're the expert.
Yeah.
You're gonna have like 4 or 6, just kind of shading the top a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking 5
Yeah.
In the landscape, and they would sort of be staggered. We call them staggered sticks. So it would be basically 5 different heights.
Okay. Yeah.
So we would provide.
Are you? Then can you all get around okay with that with the equipment?
Yes.
That'll be up pretty close.
Yes,
Okay.
we actually have a lift station for the sewer system in the town now that sort of provides a buffer between those two areas. So it's already an area that we're staying out of. So we'll be fine to plant that material there. Right.
And Mr. Vice Mayor, I mean, without those plantings, you would probably be able to see the part of the tank as you're walking south on Polo. So we've had many conversations about the need to put enough vegetation there.
Yeah, it's all similar height. I mean, you've got the outbuildings have been there a long time. It's not that much taller.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
Anything else? We have considered this before, just a relocation, but we will need to add the developers agreement between the club and the town. So is there a motion?
I've got a motion for an application submitted by the Gulfstream Golf Club. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate motions for this, for the reverse osmosis plant and tank. One is a motion to approve a special exception to permit a reverse osmosis water plant in the outdoor recreation district.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Second
Mayor
motion.
Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, where we were. I knew Commissioner Lyons refuses. Second motion is motion to approve a demolition permit to demolish an existing maintenance storage building to enable construction of the Argo water plant and water storage tank.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Third motion is motion to approve a land clearing permit to clear existing vegetation from the building site.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Fourth motion is a level 3 architectural site plan review to permit a small relocation of a previously approved reverse osmosis water plant in the maintenance area of the Gulfstream Golf Club course to supply irrigation for the golf course.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Fifth motion is to approve the developers agreement governing the construction, operation, and maintenance of the site as re-executed on May 10th, 2022.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Just conclude quickly by saying special thanks to everyone in the town, Greg and Trey, Miss Rita, and all of the staff. It's always a pleasure to come down, see their smiling faces and work with them. So I look forward to working through this with you all. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The feeling's mutual.
Okay. Mr. Demolition, you're up.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. Congratulations, Tom. I couldn't help but think how envious I was of you staring out at all those delightful school children versus the image I have in my mind of a room full of pitchforks. And so good on you for that. That's good. Anyway, good morning to you. Trey, do I have to go through that we're pulling the other, is that, I know the mayor had pulled that in the agenda.
Yeah, sure. So just for the record, Mr. Glickstein has withdrawn application 22/11. So we'll be proceeding with application 22/12.
Okay, thank you, Trey. Essentially, this is a variance relative to timing. Your current ordinances do not allow, only permit docks as an accessory use if there is an existing home or it's being permitted concurrently with the home. In our case, which makes sense, in our case, what the request is we want to construct the docks at the same time that we're constructing the seawall, which is in advance of having any formalized plans for the homes on the intercoastal. That's contrary to your existing code, which only allows docks as an accessory use to a single family dwelling. The dwellings we don't have, nor do we have the plans for those. I think the bar for variances should be high, and I think there should be some unique distinguishing characteristics in that particular context. And I think that exists here in that I'm not aware of anywhere in this zoning district or in the town for that matter where you have a platted single family home lot that doesn't have a bulkhead. In this case, part of the actual legal description is currently submerged land. We won't have a defined lot, a buildable lot, until that seawall is constructed. And the purpose of the variance request is because the construction methodology for the seawall is more of the same in terms of the piling supports for the docks, that we would like to do all of that work with a singular mobilization. Certainly there's some cost benefits to us in doing that, but I think there's also some significant noise abatement doing that as a single mobilization versus coming back to do the docks at a later date. Timing wise, we have all of our environmental shoreline permits with the exception of the Army Corps, which we expect in June. I've said that before, probably 6 times over the last 18 months, but I'm hoping this is the end of the road. And at that point, we would submit building permit applications for the entire shoreline through Gulfstream and Delray Beach. That's the gist of it.
I've enjoyed working with you, Carrie. Frankly, as a developer, you've been a pleasure to work with. I have to say, though, I don't see a basis to grant a variance. I don't see any of the 8 requirements being met, to be quite honest with you. I think there's a reason not to have docks on undeveloped land. There's safety reasons for it, as you pointed out. And I just can't see a reason to grant that variance and risk the safety issues that it would present. And in addition to that, there's the legal effect of it. Granting a variance under these conditions, I think risks setting a precedent for others who might make similar arguments under different conditions. That's just my position. Anyone else?
Yeah, so on this one, we ironically had a few requests for docks on vacant lots around town. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's been a growing thing or what, it's just part of development. I mean, the only way I could see this working, I mean, I don't want to use the term one-off because we have a code and what variances are, we all know that is, I mean, there has to be, and we don't have this in our code, but there has to be some sort, other than the safety issues and fencing and all that stuff, there has to be some sort of limitation on time. Otherwise, you're going to see a series of applications that says, okay, let's put the dock on there. Can we use it or can't we use it? And this is, I'm talking the average homeowner, not in the context of a project, but to the mayor's point, you know, it's what we're dealing with. And there's like, oh, we're going to build a home. Oh, we're going to file a permit. That's not in this case. We know this has got to get done. But in all the other cases, oh, maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after. So I don't know, you know, and then all of a sudden you've got a dock there. Then what are you doing? This is the average lot, not in conjunction with a development, which we don't have very often, maybe twice in town. And then what are we doing? We're fining somebody $1,000 a day because they're not going to build their house, or their application sitting here and you know, they haven't started construction, but there's a dock there. So, I mean, that's the real world without looking at the conditions that I think we're seeing. The mayor alluded to it. So, you know, that's obviously when you get the project moving, you know, it's a major seawall, which we don't see that often. So there's that consideration. So I don't know if there's a way to, you know, it's the variances, but I don't know if there's a way to approve this with the condition that would not have this, you know, as we know, you've dealt with it for many years, Carrie, that all of a sudden it comes back and everybody has all the variance applications that have ever been approved for the specific issue. This is one that actually is coming up. You know, like Gulfstream typically wasn't a big boating community. You know, I don't know, there's some sort of transition with development. I don't know. But that's just my feeling on feedback I'm getting. I'm totally unrelated to this project, but it's around.
Given to that point, just there is a dock on Polo Drive because the house was demolished. And I don't know who owns it. I don't know where they live or anything else, but there's a lot of people that come and go on boats there. So, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, people I see, because I live kind of catty corner. All of a sudden you see all these people and all of a sudden you see people having a picnic too on the lot.
Where did they come from?
And then they're getting on the boat, leaving the golf cart there. So I see that as more of who's coming in, the cars are there, who's using the dock, really. And there's been no problem so far, but it is a transient sort of situation.
Joan, I'm familiar with that situation. I know the party that is actually docking the boat there.
Okay.
They live on Gulfstream Road.
Yeah.
And they have permission from their homeowner.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm not saying they don't have permission,
Yeah,
but that's somebody in Gulfstream, but it could be somebody out of Gulfstream
I just
too.
wanted to be sure you were.
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I seen one of our favorite friends parked over there too. So, you know, I just, for safety reasons, that's all.
So
Was my point.
I understand.
Not who owns who.
What is the timing? What do you envision as a practical matter of the timing? What is the outside case?
Well,
and when you answer that question, I'm going to have a proposal, so be careful.
no, that's the plan is to pursue the building permits as soon as we get the core permit. We can't submit for building permits for any part of the shoreline. That would be the bulkhead, the docks, any part of that until I have the core permit. As soon as we have that, we would be applying for building permits. I have been in the permitting process on the shoreline with the core for close to 2 years now. So,
so why do you wait? I mean, I don't see the understanding of the difference. Why not wait until you have the core approval, and then you can move forward with your full application with the dock and the house?
oh, we can't, this is just, your town requires approval for docks, not for the seawall. In other words, I can build,
yes.
so the idea was to be ready so that when the core permit does fall from the sky, we can pursue building permits at that point. And the idea then would be to immediately move forward with the entire shoreline.
Here's where I guess I'm confused. And I don't know what the approval process is for seawall versus a dock. Are you applying to them for the seawall as well?
It's a bit of a jurisdictional quagmire, but I have gotten approvals from South Florida Water Management District, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and I am seeking approval from the Army Corps of Engineers. They all seem to have slightly overlapping jurisdiction, but I cannot proceed. Delray will not accept my building permit application without all of those agency permits. So, and they all look at it holistically. In other words, nobody is just looking at the docks. Nobody is just looking at the seawall. So look, folks, I understand the position. It's not unreasonable. I started out my remarks by saying the bar for a variance should be very high and the default position should be no. Make your case. And the distinguishing factor here relative to, I think, what you're dealing with or potentially dealing with is that the seawalls are already there. What you're missing in those instances, Tom, that you brought up, and Joan, it's just a vacant lot. And I understand there's a huge nuisance issue there, but I also, look, I'm not unrealistic about the Pandora's box. And Tom, you were right on that somebody seeking a variance. I've seen it many times. They come in with the variances that have been granted since the beginning of time that have nothing to do with what you're asking for, and use that as leverage. So this isn't, you know, the idea here was to be done with as much as we can be done with, so that we can, as soon as we have that core permit, we can move forward with the entire shoreline. If the commission's desire is to not grant that easement, which I understand, we would just be permitting the shoreline, the bulkhead, and then we would come back for the docks when presumably when the homes are ready to go. Which isn't the end of the world. It really was just to be able to do this all in one shot. So I appreciate the position. I understand you're not only looking at this application, but what's around the corner.
So if I understand it, you could get approval on the permitting for the seawall, but you don't have to build it then. You can wait until you get approval for the house and the dock and do it all at one time.
I could, but we wouldn't do that. We as soon as we have the core permit, we will move forward with building permits for the seawall. We have to, because we can't complete the infrastructure for the development until we have a seawall and an improved lot. There is drainage infrastructure that runs through the two intercoastal lots into the intercoastal. That has to be set at the proper elevation, and it runs through a seawall. So the seawall really isn't the issue, that it's just being able to do it all at once, the docks and the seawall. But I certainly understand the logic and the position of the town, and we'll make it work.
Yeah, I mean, just for the record, Mr. Nazaro, the legal impact of variances is one we need to consider.
That's right. So, you know, a few years ago, this was in the context of amending the Burt-Harris Act. But if a settlement is reached in a Harris Act claim that granted a variance, that variance would automatically be applied to all similarly situated properties. So that's something that did not pass, but in the context of variances, you know, it's like the vice mayor said, you grant a variance, and then the next variance application, every variance that has ever been granted is going to be shown as an example. Now, there's no there's no binding, precedential effect, but that is something that every applicant is going to look at and wondering why you're granting certain variances and not others. So while I would advise you to just take this variance just on its own, those are some considerations that you can draw from.
Rather than going procedurally, because I see where this is headed, would it be just easier, being cognizant of your time, just to withdraw the application or actually deny it? That's up to you. That's up to the commission.
It's 6 one, half a dozen the other.
It's entirely up to you. I think
because you're going to have to go through it for each application. So on the record,
easier.
The application just withdraws the variance request for item, I guess that would be 8, 4, and 5.
So it's application 22/12 and 22/13. All right. Thank you, Councilor.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, those items are withdrawn. Now we move on into the town manager's reports on the underground. Mr. Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. The good news on the utility undergrounding is that everything is gone from the core, except some scraps that we're requiring them to come pick up that they left. The only poles that need to be taken down are on A1A from Gulfview all the way up to Little Club. And we could be doing that today, but the DOT is requiring to have a construction meeting before that happens. And so that's in the process of being scheduled. But that's all that's left. So those, and of course, you know, the new poles are already there. So we're almost done.
All right. That's quite an improvement to the areas of the town.
That's true. Yes. So the next item I put on here is feral cats in Place Ocelay. Mr. Nazaro and I participated in the annual board of directors meeting for Place Ocelay recently, and this came up as a subject. I believe there's a resident over there that's actually kind of putting the process or doing the what's called the let's see, where is it? The trapping, neuter, yeah.
Vaccinate, return.
Yeah, vaccinate and return process themselves. So they're doing the trapping and then they're taking it to, you know, a facility that does that. And then they return the cats to the house. I think you guys have been through that here in the Corps with what ultimately became known as the Cat Lady's House. And so we're working with the president of the board over there to work through details on that. I think this resident is getting a little tired of doing it themselves. What we need to do is to make sure that we have, you know, a private property that we could put the traps out there. We would engage some kind of a pest control company that would trap them, and then we would put it through that process. But the process is it's a non-kill thing, so they neuter them and vaccinate them and put chips in them actually, and they return them to the location.
To Plaza Soleil?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, when you take one colony out, another one moves in.
Well,
That was raised to me, and then I spoke to Greg about this over there as well about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now it's somewhat mitigated over here. I think we're down to like 5. We have 5 cats that are all been taken care of. The orange one you see around here all the time. Piper likes the orange one.
Are they being fed by somebody?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are, but yeah.
So the system here, I mean, it's working reasonably well. We don't really have a new colony moving in. I think it kind of got a little, you know, it got larger over there. So they were, you know, they reached out, and so I think you know, we're doing the right thing. Y'all doing it, trying to figure out a good system.
Yeah. So
Like
again, this is just for your information. We're, you know, it's a service that we would help provide to Place Ocelay, and certainly over here, if there was any. I really never.
There was an uptick.
I haven't gotten any complaints really from the Corps area about any.
I think it was a specified number of cats and it hasn't increased.
Right. Yeah, there's no
Because
uptick.
she's, yeah, I mean, it's just a private individual who's
Right.
taken this on. And
Yes.
she has several and doesn't want to pursue adding to more.
Is this the person in Place Ocelay?
No,
No, it's over here.
Yeah,
Oh,
never
okay.
residents.
Everybody knows who she is.
Yeah, well, that's okay. But she's done it very
Everybody but me,
responsibly.
I don't know.
Yeah, and she does it. And so then the question is, and she's been spending her own resources to do all right.
She has.
You spend quite a lot of money, actually.
And so I think what's happening is the person in Place Ocelay doesn't want to continue spending their resources to do this.
The only
question
problem I
is, does it
see
have-
is how many would you accumulate? Like when we did this before, we ended up with a lot all of a sudden.
Yeah,
And then,
I don't know the details, so.
I mean, were you around when we did that years ago?
We used to have 5 or 6 of them down by Scott and I. They're fine. They've been all fixed and neutered. We wrote checks to a neighbor who's
Yeah.
deeply involved in it. But it's, I think it's under control on this. So.
Yeah.
Well, now it is, but it wasn't at one time because we did this.
Right.
I mean, and it really got out of control. I'm not negative on this, but it got out of control.
Right.
And then we ended up with ones that weren't neutered. It just got out of control. And so I don't know how to.
That was all happening right when I got here. And so I didn't. know
Oh,
anything.
way before you got here
Oh,
too.
okay.
Right, Rita?
Still going
Absolutely.
on. Still going on.
Oh, yeah.
When I got
Well, there was somebody, we even had a fundraiser to,
Jeez.
that's before we spent town money to do this.
But I think that we should establish a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some people who object to the cats.
They, I agree because they go on your patio furniture and I've had people complain in the past
But,
because they are in the backyard and they don't want them.
Well, they also killed birds. When
That's
I
true.
lived in the Corps, there were hardly any birds
Yeah.
because the cats were ubiquitous and they had taken down and killed almost all of the birds. It was really shocking to come through town. That's what I remember. So
But then I asked the rodent guy, what do you think of cats? He says, oh, they're great. They go after the rats and all that stuff in town. So, but in any case, I think we should, before we, the town's never been involved in cat management, has it?
Well, I don't know what.
We actually, we captured them, but I don't think we bought them
I think it was
back.
on an exception basis.
yeah.
We sent them to, we sent them to
Right,
Ocean
Central
Ridge.
Ocean Ridge. I think the police were involved in.
It was when they rose to
cat
like a
removal.
true nuisance level. The town's
Right.
been involved a couple of times in the past.
So if
We haven't always been involved, but we have when they got to be really a nuisance,
Okay.
but we did not trap, we have done both ways. We've trapped, neutered, and released, and we trapped and released to
But, okay, wherever they
Other
To a-
locations.
location.
Right.
Well, I mean, to, Peggy Adams or wherever it is. Somebody that would take the
But they
cat.
won't keep the service. I mean, they'll do all that, but
They gotta be
they've got to
returned.
be taken back.
Well, they didn't used to.
That's right, in the beginning of that
Yeah.
program.
You know what?
Right. We used to-
Now the rules are different.
They
It just-
ended up, that was
Right. So this is just reporting, and we'll follow up with you.
Well, kudos to the person in Plaza
I
Salado
know.
taking this issue on.
Right.
And it is a concern. And I bet it can get significant over there. So I would certainly
I mean, it would
be
be
in
a
agreement
service
for
that
the
would
town
be
to get involved in
provided
this.
to them.
I don't hesitate to have the town involved because it becomes a nuisance if she doesn't want to continue
Yeah.
it. I just don't
Right.
know how far we want to go with,
Right, and that's
releasing
what
it back
we're,
in the
that's what we're exploring.
yes.
I think the overall goal should be to cap it at the current population.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you can't get rid of them totally, but
Right.
because if we allow it to, what we don't want to do is facilitate an increasing population either.
Mhm.
I don't know anything about it, but I think the ultimate goal is to not have it grow in population. And so however you do that.
Right.
And I don't know anything about the person that's doing this over there at this point in time, other than that they'd like some help. So
Well, we have complete confidence in you.
okay.
Now you're going to be the cat.
I got
That can do.
I got it.
All right, let's move on to the right turning lane at Plaza.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I'll add it to my resume. That I hope I never have to use again. So we're following up on the mayor's comments at the last meeting regarding a right-hand turn lane at the current entrance into Place au Soleil. This would be the right-hand turn lane exiting the neighborhood. We've been over to analyze that, our staff, and also Mr. Glickstein, his civil engineer, Joe Pike, that I think you all know with Enviro Design, went over and looked at it. If any of you have gone over there to look at it, I think you're quickly able to see that there is no room to put a right-hand turn lane there with all of the equipment that is at that intersection. And so that includes the backflow preventer that's there right now, the large utility pole and mast as part of the traffic control of the intersection. That's all the jurisdiction of Palm Beach County. And then will be a utility voltmeter there, and there's also an underground bypass in case the backflow preventer breaks down. There's a bypass underground right under that location so that the water can continue to come into the neighborhood if the backflow preventer breaks down. To move all that, it would be very costly. So really the only way we believe that could be done is that the gatehouse would need to be moved south or removed if whatever the case may be. But as it sits there now, there's no room to put right internally. I guess you can do anything you want, but it would be very costly.
Well, to move the gatehouse would be costly too.
Yeah, it would. So
The issue is either keep it as is or remove the gatehouse and redesign the entrance and exit. So, I think we'll feel out the residents at Plaza Soleil to see what their interests are.
No, we have talked to Mr. Snavely about it, and he agrees that there's just no room as it is right now to put it right internally.
And the gatehouse, it serves as somewhat of a deterrent to people coming in. So I think the safety issue probably will override the desire for the right turn lane, but we wanted to look into it and see what the possibilities were. And then we'll all be reaching out to people at Plaza Soleil to get their sense of what they would prefer. I have the feeling it will be to keep it as is, but we wanted to report to you.
Did it come up at the board meeting you attended?
I'm sorry?
Did it come up at the board meeting at Plaza Soleil, their annual meeting, or?
I don't think they talked about that. We did get a recommendation from one resident that we look into it, and we did. I don't know if there are other people that have the same sentiments as this individual, but that's the only person that I've actually heard from about it.
Okay.
Well, we looked into it. I mean, it's
right. Yes. Yeah. It's like the duck crossing. It gets brought to the commission, and we look into things.
Okay, I'm going to have Trey report on the
rezoning request by the auto dealership.
Right.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Unfortunately, not a lot to report, but a lot of work has been done relative to talking with the developer's agent. So last month I reported that the manager, myself, the mayor, and president of the Place Au Soleil Homeowners Association met with the developer's agents, 2 attorneys, and we had a very cordial discussion about some concessions that we were hoping that they would make in order for us to agree to not oppose a rezoning request. Right now, it's the lots in question are zoned general commercial, and they're seeking a rezoning to automotive commercial to be able to build a car dealership. Some of those concessions that have worked well for Place Au Soleil relative to the Gunther Volvo dealership that's located to the south that also borders Place Au Soleil were looked at, and some of those were a wall that reaches 10 feet above grade, which is a 10-foot wall permitted by the Delray zoning code on a 2-foot berm. That's something that exists in Gunther. A 20-foot wide planted buffer of trees and other tall plantings to absorb sound, maximum height of light poles to be 12 feet, louvers on parking garage openings, timers on lights, lighting to incorporate down lighting to minimize spillage, garage doors to be kept closed, key fobs not to be used to locate vehicles, no speakers on the outside of the building, and then also site plan related issues, which were a site plan designed to accommodate vehicle delivery on the south or west side of the property, not against the homes there, and the site plan arranged to ensure trash pickup on the south or west side and to be done after 7 a.m. So again, minimize the impact to our residents over there. with a lot of back and forth about putting this in writing and agreement and some of those communications, I got an email on the 9th of this month that said it's the developer's attorney's position that executing an agreement with the town at this juncture would be premature since the rezoning has not been approved and the subsequent site plan related applications have not been submitted. However, they agreed to provide a signed letter to the town to agree to the conditions requested, and they said they would have that to us as soon as possible. So I responded and said, just to confirm, the letter is being solicited by the town, and once received, the town will agree not to object to the rezoning at the SPRAB and commission meeting. So there would be consideration for our agreement, and we would have something that was legally enforceable. And then I said the town commission will ratify this position. So just so you know, I'm seeking authorization to agree to those terms. And if we can't come to some sort of an agreement, I would just ask that you authorize the town manager and myself to work with our planner and outside counsel to potentially challenge this rezoning application, if it does come to that. And then her response to that was, more kind of delays, unfortunately. In light of the request, the client hired an architect / designer who's begun analyzing code requirements and creating the future site and project design. Before they can commit in writing via letter to the requested terms, he will need to allow the designer time to complete his review and confirm that the design conditions requested are viable and possible on the property. If a commitment is made, we need to be sure that the commitment can actually be delivered. So this was yesterday. And then last night, my response was essentially, that's great, thank you so much, but I would like to commit to a wall that's very easy. It exists on Gunther Volvo. Louvers on parking garages, that is also something that exists on Gunther. It's easy to incorporate that design. The only two things that your architect would be looking at is the site plan designed to accommodate vehicle delivery and the site plan to ensure trash pickup is at a certain location. So at this point, I'm asking them to communicate something that we can get in writing and we can come to some sort of an agreement in advance of the inevitable summer, no one's here rezoning application. So while we're kind of, this is kind of where we are, but I just wanted to update the commission and have you ratify this position that the town manager and myself have been taking relative to this rezoning application.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any problem approving that and authorizing you to proceed as you have been. The terms that we outlined to council for the developer are the ones that match what was negotiated at Gunther Volvo, and they're reasonable for this application as well. I applaud you for staying on top of it, Trey, and trying to pin them down. Obviously, their reluctance to put anything in writing is concerning. Do we know when they're going to apply for the zoning change?
At this point, they have received some comments, including in those are, talk to Gulfstream, and their response was, we've talked to Gulfstream, we're putting something in writing. So we've seen through their planning department, that's great. Give us what you and the town have agreed upon. So the Delray is hyper aware of what's going on and interested in protecting our interests. We dealt with them with the city relative to Gunther, and we have a very good relationship with their planning department, Amy Alvarez, and the young lady who's working on this particular application. So I don't think that we have an initial hearing yet. But like I said, I know it's coming, and it's certainly going to be over the summer. So we just need to stay on top of them, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's not just dragging their feet. They're trying to get something to us, but it's just frustrating. After our initial meeting was very positive, and then as soon as it ended, I reached out to the junior attorney and said, that's great, let's get this in writing. And there was a lot of hesitation about, well, I'm not really sure how we can do that, and then over email, again, very positive. Yep, we're going to get this to you. I just need to run it by the senior attorney. And then the senior attorney says, oh, well, we're going to go a different direction. So that's why I wanted to make sure that the full force of Gulfstream and the commission was behind the opposition if we needed to take that position. I really hope that it doesn't come to it and we can reach an agreement. But there's a carrot and there's a stick, I guess. So I was just hoping that we could utilize what we need to come to some sort of amicable solution to this application.
Yep. I think we're all in agreement. Authorize you to oppose the rezoning application without some terms in writing confirming, not some, all of the terms that we discussed and seemingly agreed upon at our meeting.
All right, great. Thank you, sir.
Trey, quick question. This would be action by the town, but do the individuals living along there have the right to represent themselves in fighting or arguing? They would also, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay, finally, we have some windows that need.
Yes, sir. We added this one on. I don't know, a month ago, we had a very significant rain event, but also a significant wind event. And the first time that since I've been here, I mean, some of our windows out here in the lobby were leaking. And so we called our insurance company and then we used their insurance adjusters analysis of the condition of the windows up there. And it was determined that they really needed to be replaced. So the town went out to bid for it. We got 3 bids for them. They ranged from roughly $10,000 to $26,000. They all really had the same scope of work. And so, the 3 companies have all done work in Gulfstream. And so we're comfortable in recommending the lowest bid, which is $10,082. The scope of work was the same. I believe the high one, all these people were very busy. And so I think it was one of these where they thought, well, let's throw a number at them, see if it sticks on the wall. And that happens all the time. So this is just for your information. This is within the scope of my authority to spend money.
So how many windows we
There's 12.
I mean, when I replaced one window, it cost me $10,000.
Well,
you obviously took the high bidder.
Yeah, that's right.
No, but more seriously, the hurricane windows, I won't mention my general contractor, but anybody I know will replace windows hurricane, they're very expensive. So
these are all hurricane rates.
Okay, good.
It depends on what brand you use, because somebody I know just got an estimate to do all the windows in their house, and it's, it depends on what brand.
Right.
I mean, it really does.
Okay, so this was 10,000, 20,000, and
Yeah.
26,000.
So you're satisfied with the quality?
$600-800 a
Yeah.
window then?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're happy with it. I mean, they all have done work in town, right, Rebecca?
I mean, yeah.
Sounds good.
Anyway, so we're going to go with the lowest bidder.
Okay. ARPB meeting, next one is May 26th at 8:30 a.m. for anyone who wishes to attend. Let's move back to Mr. Dunham for the finance report.
Yes, sir. So this represents 56% of our budget. Our revenues collected so far this year are 87%. Our expenses are at 47%. There were some comments that our CFO made at the beginning of this report. One of them in particular is regarding Delray Beach and their announcement to do a step rate increase. And so I'd ask Rebecca to perhaps address that.
What I'm proposing that we do, so we don't end up. I'm sorry, I should have gotten that. I'm so sorry. So what I'm proposing that we do is during the budget process as an additional ordinance during the September meeting is that we will adjust our water rates to accommodate the increase in the cost in buying the water from Delray.
Sure.
We just don't want to subsidize and have our enterprise fund become less like a business and more of like a charity. So that's what, I mean, it'll have to be by an ordinance. some of you were on the board last time I did it. So I did it last time in 2016. It's not that big of a, you just have to just go in and calculate it. But my goal is to just, I want to make sure that we're on track so we don't end up having a drain on the general fund supporting the enterprise fund. That's it. But I just wanted to give you all a heads up that it's
It's a
coming.
pass-through neutral treatment, correct? In other words, whatever, if you have to pay an extra $1 for my water, you're gonna charge me an extra $1.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be sure I understood.
I would like to do it in one fell swoop instead of having to do 3 ordinances every year until 2025 though. So I would just, I mean, if that's okay with you guys, I would rather just bite the bullet and do it now instead of every year having to come back and redo an ordinance and redoing the entire system. So, but I don't mind doing that, but it would be my preference.
I can't imagine there's any objection to that.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll keep you apprised as the budget.
I have a question. Where did you send the old water meters for the $7,000?
We actually sold them. There's a company out on 441 that buys those for metal.
The metal.
Good for you.
Yeah, that was great.
I think, did we say how much? I think, what did we make?
10,000.
$10,741.25.
Right, so.
Almost a lot.
Listen, our guys carefully took every one of those meters apart and saved what was sellable. And our trailer, we trailered those things. Our pickups weren't powerful enough to pull them, so Anthony had to use his big diesel to pull the trailer.
Good for him. That's great.
I guess when we get.
And the water report, I don't
Yes.
see anything unusual in that.
Okay, any questions on finance or the water report? If not, Chief, please report.
Request the report be separately as submitted. This was luckily for us a quiet month with the car situation. It seemed to slow down quite a bit. The one vehicle that we did have stolen was located in less than 24 hours. It was located in Plantation, and they did make 2 arrests with that vehicle. That particular vehicle was taken out of the garage in Place au Soleil, and it did have the keys in it and all. The garage door was open, and it was about 6 o'clock in the evening. And I just walked right in. So we're fortunate they haven't found au Soleil until now, I guess. So we keep an extra watch there to try to solve that problem. The other one that was on the report is a recovered stolen pickup truck. It was a kid who was surfing over here off the beach and left his keys and everything in his pickup truck in the parking lot while he went surfing. And then later that day, it was found in Little Club Road Park. So obviously someone took it for a ride probably, or, went to the store or something, to come back and figured they were hiding it. So obviously that's unrelated from the other thefts. Different type of MO.
Okay.
Next on the agenda there for me is the bike updates and laws changed. Several laws have changed in the biking, reference to biking on A1A. However, there's only one major one that applies to us, and that's the riding single compared to riding double. The new law no longer allows them to ride double except for within designated bike lane, which we have no designated bike lanes in Gulfstream. Therefore, they have to ride single.
How do you enforce that?
We're hoping to try to educate the people, because stopping them becomes a risk, because once you stop 20 or 30 guys, they become your liability. They got to be off the road somewhere safe and everything. You try to write them a ticket, and every one of them looks alike now. How do you know which one was the one you saw doing the violation? So it gets kind of complicated, and unfortunately. So what we're proposing is we're going to try to do, like I spoke to the chiefs in several other small communities here. And the majority of everybody has a sense of trying to educate. And mostly it boils down to just, if you see the violation, you bump the horn a couple times at them and tell them on the loudspeaker, hey, you must be in a single line, and hope that works.
It's just not safe
It's a long shot.
to stop that many people.
Oh, right. No, we tried that once before, but
Yeah.
didn't work out.
So.
The other thing they did change, which somewhat applies us, is they're allowing the state law now for the operator of a motor vehicle to cross the yellow line to pass the bicycles. Where actually before, if you crossed the yellow line, you were going in a no passing zone. So now for a brief time period, they're allowing you to cross that line to make the move you need to move.
You still have was it 3 feet
Well,
separating?
you have to stay 3 feet still.
Yeah, bike from the vehicle. Yeah. The problem is when you have
So a
several.
lot of times with 3 feet doesn't give you enough room to go around them unless you do go over the yellow line.
And these are having going both ways. It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
That's
Drive careful, staying where you are.
Our avid bike riding assistant town attorney was on A1A in another community, I'll say, and was hauled in for temporarily for not riding in a single file lane.
I was not pulled over, but we were similar to what the chief said, educated that we should get in single file.
Elaborated too much.
So they pulled you,
We were riding south on, this was months ago. I don't get out here as often as I would like to. It's beautiful, a beautiful time to ride the bike, but we were in a large peloton and we just got caught up with a bunch of people and we ran through a particular jurisdiction and the police officer was on the loudspeaker and doing this little beep, beep, siren and telling us, single file. And then, everyone in the pack was very well behaved and got in single file. And then of course, in the next jurisdiction, I'm sure they,
Yeah, they went back to double.
but that was what happened there. And, I think that's
Well, it shows
good
how it
advice.
works.
Yeah.
So we were following up on a complaint that we received through Mr. Lyons.
All right, very good. Thank you, Chief. Let's move on to the commission actions. We have 2 ARPB members and an alternate for reappointment. Mr. Dunham.
Yes, sir. Now I can't tell you. Let me see. So yes, we have 3 terms that have expired. The members that were questioned here are Mr. Malcolm Murphy, Curtis Roach, and then the alternate member, Amanda Jones. All have said to us that they would like to be reappointed. The commission needs to do that officially.
do we do them each one individual or all together or?
You can do the 2 regular and then the alternate separately.
I'll move to approve regular members Malcolm Murphy and Curtis Roach for reappointment.
I'll second it.
Ms. Taylor.
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
And Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
And I'll move to appoint alternate member Amanda Jones for reappointment to her respective position.
I'll second it.
Ms. Taylor.
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
And Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Let's move to ordinance number 22/5, being brought to us, Ms. Taylor, for first reading.
An ordinance of Town Commission, Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 70, Gulfstream Design Manual, Article 4, Site Development Regulations, removing the redundant Section 70-81, Summary of Site Development Regulations in its entirety, providing for severability, providing for repeal of ordinances that are in conflict, providing for codification, and providing an effective date. This is presented on first reading on May the 13th, 2022.
Any questions or comments on the ordinance? If not, ordinance 22/05 has been brought to us on first reading. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve ordinance number 22/5.
Second.
Ms. Taylor.
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Mr. Lyons, you had something you wanted to add to the agenda.
Yes, very quickly, the subject is no wake zone. Christine was at a coalition meeting. I attended it. And that subject again came up. It's come up numerous times, not just in coalition meetings, but in other circumstances. There were a number of people who have been very vocal about trying to do something about it. And so Christine, I think, is willing to work with a number of people in the community to see what we can figure out in terms of solving this problem. I don't know whether that's the best way to go. I might get involved. There's 2 residents in Gulfstream who feel strongly about getting involved. I don't know whether that's the best way to try to solve the problem, but part of the reason I bring it up, I looked at the application on Blue Water Code, and I look at an aerial view just because I want to get a perception of docks there. It's really tight. It's as tight as A1A. You know, it's amazing that, and these boats go through it. When I'm playing golf on it, and you see these boats just fly, and the wake zone splashing over. If I lived on the coastal, I would be quite unhappy. I don't know what happens with boats and docks, but so we made a resolution. I don't know what happened. I mean, I know we submitted it and just kind of died. Not that we didn't do what we needed to do, but does anybody have a constructive way of trying to move this thing that gets more attention?
Well, I mean, we have participated a couple times by letter communication and then this resolution. I'm trying to remember if we actually, how to say, I have to look in my files that I think we did get a response one time that did not approve the the request. What's Ocean Ridge's luck been in terms of?
We've been doing the same thing. Bryan's been doing the same thing. St. Andrews, I mean, it keeps filtrating their golf courses. Well, grass. I mean, it's up the ante part of it. We've been told that raising seawalls from building code is probably what a municipality can do to get involved. There's 3 different jurisdictions. There's FWC, there's Coast Guard in some instances. A lot of it depends on the width of the intercoastal and where they, feel that there is a wake zone. And we've been told quite crassly, I think, that until there are fatalities involved, that just don't talk to us. That is the basis usually of where you get a no wake zone put in.
But let me ask you a question. Are you familiar? Doesn't Delray, don't they have some no wake zones going through, like around the?
Christine, they're working on it, Tom. They're working on it from 8th George Bush down to Atlantic.
I think that's related to the amount of commercial that's on either side.
I think the best, and Paul, you alluded to this, I think the best that we could do is maybe have a multi-municipal task force that just gathers all the information, takes a look at it. And I think the way that we really get some legislative traction on any of this as small towns is to all combine our efforts and then actually, take it to our state representatives. I've had discussions with Lori Berman about this before, and they're all saying, get people in mass, and then they all showed up today, right? Same theory, just at a different province.
Well, I know there was an individual, a resident that lived in Boynton. It was Boynton, or I think
He was actually in
Delray.
over on the west.
And so he kind of led an effort that included several cities. You were probably part of that. We were part of that. Delray, I think. But
He tried very grassroots
right.
position, and unfortunately, because he was not very respectful in his presentation style.
I remember that. Yeah.
Quite, unfortunately, they dismissed his
right.
But the coalition would be happy to take this on as one of
a multi-municipal issue, and we've had all of our multi-families just due south of Woolbright because people wait, the boats wait to get through Woolbright, wait. They finally, when the bridge goes up and comes down, then they just panic going out of there. And we've had, all our multi-families have to replace their seawalls, $1, $2 million, $3 million, and a smaller unit that only has 5 or 6 people. That's, the assessment. It's less about the assessments, more about the frustration, the continual nuisance.
I just wanted to bring everybody.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like getting together the representatives of the various municipalities and then jointly approaching our state representative and state senator, then from there petitioning the appropriate authorities over that section of the coastal.
Is dealing with this also. What they did was they now have a boat patrol who doesn't have the authority, unfortunately, taking tickets, but they can, pull up next to somebody and slow it down. And they have had 2 fatalities come there, so.
Right.
We just got a boat donated in our county, so I don't think that well.
Well,
patrol down here.
All right, so we're working on it, moving forward with it. At least we have some direction.
Mayor, I think that we've got to recognize these things happen. There are multi-jurisdictional issues that are always going to be on the docket. And Christine this year asked our members to vote on things that are important to them. And unfortunately, everything that was on the list is important to her. So we've got to find people who are capable, who have the time and the energy to really focus on what can we do and how best to do it. And quite frankly, some of these issues go all the way up to Palm Beach. The intercoastal doesn't just stop here, it keeps going. And if we don't address common issues that are common to us all, we're just betting our swings. So I commend Christine for asking the question, but the real issue is, can you find a half dozen or so people who really care and who can make a difference?
Good point. Thank you, Bob. I'd like to make a point, and that is a number of years ago, Ms. Taylor did a study of our public and private roads. We found that in Gulfstream there are actually quite a few private roads, but one in particular has become problematic, and that's the Little Club Road from A1A down to the Casitas. And part of the problem is that road is owned privately by St. Andrew's Club, Hillside House, the Little Club. So it's difficult to get things done to maintain it, much less landscape it. It is the northernmost entry point for Gulfstream. I think it's an embarrassment to the town. Anyone who goes to the Little Club or goes to the St. Andrew's tennis courts or visits Hillside House thinks it's a public road, and it's just in terrible shape. So the staff and I have been working on making that a public road, having Gulfstream take over the Little Club Road. We've spoken to St. Andrew's Club, Hillside House, and the Little Club. All are at least tentatively in agreement with the concept of deeding their interest over to the town. Now that we've completed the water line, the undergrounding on Little Club Road, I think we can move forward with a proposal to do that. And Mr. Nazaro is going to look into the legal impact of it. Mr. Dunham has met with Baxter Woodman, who's already done a fair amount of engineering analysis of that road for our CIP. They're going to do a little more engineering analysis of the road so that we can move forward with a proposal that would be brought back to us for approval on how to move forward with that road.
I agree the road's in disrepair, but also on that road, they've let the landscape grow out far into the road, which I find almost dangerous. Do you know what I'm saying? Because when you drive your car, you're just hitting the hedges. So I think as a condition, if we take this road on, that the landscape has to be maintained, because I don't know if that's something we want to get into.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little complicated.
Yeah, did you speak, I think you said that you spoke to someone that where the subject of the landscaping came up. But all that landscaping is planted on the St. Andrews property.
Okay, I'm just saying as a condition.
No, I totally agree with you.
That they have to keep
Well,
it.
there's two ownership entities.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, you can both sign off on it.
so I think that will be part of the conversation.
Yes.
And the health of all that landscaping is not good.
Yeah, well, it's growing.
I know, but it's got patches that are.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And so.
But it's a detriment to the road itself.
Oh, it is, totally. And so I want to just add to the mayor's comments. The Little Club's actually already engaged a civil engineer, Enviro Design, to look at improvements to the drainage. And so we met with all of them. In fact, we're meeting again on Monday, but that's related to our CFP. Anyway, so we kind of advised them for them to just continue with whatever work that they're doing now, because we obviously don't have any kind of dedication to the town yet.
Right, there's a drainage issue at the
Yeah,
bottom
no,
of the
I know.
road. Little Club is going to address
Yeah,
that.
so they've already done
We
some
won't be
work.
involved with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Once that's done, the road should be ready for transition to the town. As part of that would be the landscaping issue. And I think we can address everything at one time.
I agree.
Okay, but just want to let everybody know that's what's going on.
A question, are there any other circumstances or roads that would be similar to that in the town?
I don't think so. There are plenty of other private roads, but those seem to be, they don't have a lot of residents on them. They seem to be well maintained.
They're not traffic, they're not a lot of traffic.
Absolutely.
The other roads are just the residents.
That's
This
right.
is a condo and a club and
Right.
It's a lot.
The 1300 block, the 1400
Yeah.
block don't have nearly the traffic. that Little Club
So
does.
there's some expectation we'll be doing that too, because we're gonna be taking over.
No.
Okay. I'm in favor of it, particularly given the fact that some contribution is gonna be made towards the drainage, because those parties have been kicking the can down the road and not dealing with it, kind of pushing it back to the town. And I understand why it makes sense for us to take it over, but they certainly haven't maintained the way they could have. And we're getting something's broken, but the extent that somebody's gonna put some money towards it. And I agree with you on the hedge. I mean, that has to be cut back. We shouldn't have to worry about it.
Right. And the Little Club has their own ideas of the landscaping they want. That might not be, that would not necessarily be a municipal obligation. So, we'll address the road. Seems to me that the residential parties can address most of the landscaping if they desire something other than what we would normally.
Yeah, it's sort of a
maintain.
team effort.
yeah.
Exactly.
I think to have them have some participation in this, so we don't go into taking over private roads. I mean,
right.
In general.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say, if you're feeling a little presidential, that's because you're in the midst of two presidents here today. Whenever our employees, I like to recognize their accomplishments, and I know we said this before, but I want to just repeat it so everybody knows what our employees do in their off time from the work. So I would like to recognize Renee. She's going to become the Southeast Director of the Florida Association of City Clerks in June. And that's the state association. And then she'll be president of the Palm Beach County Municipal Clerks Association beginning in October of 22. And as you know, I think we've reported before that Rebecca is currently the Palm Beach County, the president of the Palm Beach County, Florida Government Finance Officers Association. So I'd just like to recognize their accomplishments.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Rebecca left, so.
You can hear the clapping.
Yes.
Anything else? If not, thank you all for coming. Meeting's adjourned.
Everyone have a great day.
Glad you educated me.